That's the way some of you snore. When you're sleeping, right? Anyways, you're welcome back to our channel. My name is Murayo Ahunaya, for those of you who do not know, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our channel. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is very, very important to us as human beings, something that has existed for as long as we've existed, something that is part of us, integral to our growth and development. What is that thing? Sleep. Sleep. As simple, as basic as sleep is, you cannot function as a normal human being if you are not sleeping well. You cannot function properly if you're not having adequate sleep. And that is for a grown adult. Even much more is how important or how much important sleep is for an infant, a baby, or a growing child. And today we're going to be looking at all that discussion that wraps around sleep in babies, okay? As I said before, sleep is important in babies because it is a time where they experience significant growth and development mentally and physically, even emotionally to an extent. While they are awake, which is not a long period of time, it is short really, whilst babies are awake, they usually take in a lot through their senses. They have a heightened sensory organ or organs. So except for their eyes, babies can feel much more than we can feel. They can taste much more than we can taste. And other parts of them, are taking in so much information. A child takes in a lot more information when they're in that childhood phase than when they are actual grown adults, So all that information that they are taking in while they are awake, it is while they are sleeping that they piece the puzzles together, that they piece the information together and they make sense of it. It is during sleep that actual cognitive experiences happen. It's during sleep that actual growth and development, actual understanding happens. Then when they are awake, they can apply what they have made sense of. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So sleep is a very, very important thing, a very, very important activity for children and for babies. It's not just a passive activity. So we should take it importantly as well as parents, okay? Now, one of the facts about sleeping in babies is that by the time they have reached 1 year on the earth, they would have slept for more than half of their lifetime here on earth. Yeah, typically a newborn to 3 months of age sleeps for a duration of an average of 18 to 20 hours in a day, right? Inclusive of night and day naps. Then from 4 to 12 months, they typically sleep for about 14 to 16 hours. And then from that 12 months, which is when they're 1 year old, to about 24 months, which is when they're 2 years old, they typically sleep for 11 to 14 hours a day. So you can see that this is a lot and a lot of hours sleeping. And sometimes parents are wondering, is my baby sleeping too much? If they are not going above the average, the marks that have been stated for a newborn to 3 months, 18 to 20 hours, then they are probably doing justice to their systems. If they are sleeping more than they should, which happens sometimes, then it may be due to sickness or teething, or maybe they got immunization on that day. In any case, we must pay attention to the sleeping and the sleeping patterns of our babies, okay? So, if your baby isn't having enough sleep, how can you enhance or improve your baby's sleep? If you have checked, because some people complain that their baby isn't sleeping enough or their babies are having really short naps, they're waking up a lot. How can you enhance your baby's sleeping? Because a well-sleeping, forgive me for dabbing mine, there's no light. A well-sleeping baby is a well-sleeping mom or dad, a well-sleeping adult. So once your baby sleeps well, that translates to you sleeping well. How do you enhance your baby's sleep? Number one, you need to understand your child and understand your environment. From the moment that your baby is born, your baby has begun or began to communicate to you. Maybe not in the language that you speak and understand, but there are different languages that a child uses to speak to you. And you have to understand and learn that language. The language that the baby speaks through bodily movements, the language that the baby speaks through crying, the language that the baby speaks through some sounds that they make. You just have to take your time and acclimatize with them. Okay? Now, some babies will cry a lot more than others, and some babies will not. But still, every child is peculiar, and every child will give you their own cue as to what they want and how they want it. For some babies, when they want to sleep, they rub their eyes. Some scratch their ears. Some begin to be fussy, they just want to be carried. If you want to sit down, they want you to stand up. They don't want you to sit down. And there's a reason for that as well, which I'll say shortly. They give you different cues. They give you different signs that they want to sleep. Just as they give you signs that they want to eat. Some of them do their hands like this when they want to eat. Some of them, their crying is very high-pitched, They start out small, they start out a little pitched, and then it goes very high. The same thing for change of diapers. You will know the different sounds, but it takes, an amount of time. Babies are not as complex as older adults, even though they also have wants and needs. And their needs are not as complex. So it's easier to understand a little human. Doesn't take away the complexity of understanding a human being, but it is easier to understand a little human. And you must take your time. As you've taken your time to study different humans in your life, you have to take your time to study that human being as well. And then you will understand them. It takes time to know this person. You've known them via your tummy, but now they're physical. You can see them in real life. So you will take time as well to know them. And in time, you will understand what they are saying. So you have to understand your child. You have to understand your environment as well. And then you have to merge both, right? Some of us live in very quiet areas and some of us live in very noisy environments. So we have to understand our environment or understand the environment that we'll be, going into. Some of us cannot stay within the comforts of our homes every time with baby. You may have to go out to the market. You may have to go to your place of worship. You may have to go to work and, your child is allowed there. You may have to go to different places because it's not everybody that works in a corporate organization. Some of us, are going to our own shops or offices or places. So you have to understand your environment and you have to tailor that environment to fit the child. Okay? Your child always comes first. I know that when people recently give birth, a lot of times, a lot of people come to visit them, which I don't even advise. A lot of people come to visit them. During the course of visits, you may be tempted to, neglect or put your child's priority unconsciously below that of others. People are coming in, making noise, and you want to carry your child to yourself. If you need to, don't be afraid to excuse yourself to go to a more quieter place if your child needs to sleep. Don't be afraid to tell people to quiet things down. I remember when I gave birth to my child, I had a spot created in the parlor already with a nursing station and a duvet, where my child could sleep easily. So when he's about to sleep and the television is, high, I'll just ask whoever it is that is watching it, or if it's myself, will lower the volume just enough that my baby can sleep in it. Now you don't want your child not to be accustomed to noise or sounds at all, just to be everywhere to be so quiet when the child is sleeping, because any little noise will wake that child up. But you also don't want it to be such a noisy environment that the child cannot reasonably piece things together while they are sleeping. Remember, sleeping is not just a passive activity for them. It's actually an active, process where they are doing things, where they are learning, where they are growing as well. And when they are digesting the information that they have taken in the short time that they are awake. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. You want to learn about your child and learn about your environment, and then find a way to merge both together so that they work hand in hand for you. Now you want to reinforce, that is the second thing, you want to reinforce night and day. And you want to let your child know that, okay, this is night time when all normal human beings sleep, and this is daytime where you can nap. But nighttime is where all normal human beings sleep. In this point where you're enforcing or reinforcing this idea is where sleep training comes. I thank God that I knew about sleep training early. Sleep training is a process where you train your child and also train yourself and your environment to go to bed at a particular time following a particular routine. And you try as much as possible to consistently stick to that routine. It will help you in the long run. It will help all of you in the long run. How do you do this? You have a time in your head at night where you want your child to go to bed. Now, it's not just your child you want to go to bed during that time. You want yourself to go to bed as well during that time. So 30 or 40 minutes before that time, set an alarm on your phone or on your alarm clock. Set an alarm, and then you begin a nighttime routine. A nighttime routine can involve bathing your child and then taking your child to the room where you will both be co-sleeping. It is advised that for the first 6 months of a baby's life, you co-sleep in the same room, but you do not sleep on the same bed. You co-sleep. So we had our bed in our room, and then we had a crib for the baby. Baby had his own bed, and we had our own bed, but we all slept in the same room, okay? So you take the child to the room where you're co-sleeping, and then you turn off the lights and you switch off the blinds. It's called blacking out. So you black out your room, and then you can put on a lullaby. We had a sound machine, and, little by little, you let your child, get into that drift. You can rock your child. Now, what I was saying about children like either standing or rocking motions. Whatever you're going to introduce your child to as a rocking motion, make sure you can do it consistently, because when you start, they can get into a habit of wanting that thing. And the reason why children like to be rocked to sleep or carried up, even we adults, the reason why we sleep easily when we're in motion is because when you were being formed, from the time you were being formed to 9 months after, your mom was always standing and walking. You'll notice that a lot of pregnant women say that the times when their children kick the most, or they notice their children kicking, is at night when they're sleeping. The children typically are asleep when the mother is in motion, and when the mother is still is when they are active. So that still comes to play when they are, when they are out of the mother's belly. That rocking motion still puts them to sleep, just as it puts us to sleep. That's why you can sleep on a hammock and you drift off to sleep very easily, So you want to mimic that to an extent. You can put child to breast. Breastfeeding your child is a very, very powerful way of putting child to sleep. It's kind of like a pacifier for some of them. And then you black out and you put the lullaby. If you can, try to have your bath yourself and get into the sleep mode and get ready to sleep. Because once, that baby drifts to sleep, they can kind of sense you if you're around them. If the baby is in deep sleep mode, you can do other things, you can leave the room. But when the baby is just gradually fading in and out of sleep, then they just want to sense you, because a lot of babies have what they call separation anxiety. And if you've noticed, if your baby is not well attached to you, there are different theories on attachment. I don't know, maybe one of these days we'll talk about attachment theories here. People say don't carry your child so much to spoil the child. That is actually the opposite. Carrying your child well enough, bonding with your child well enough, having a secure attachment with your child actually goes a long way in helping them, even way into the future. Okay? So, which is why I said you must be ready to sleep. I'm saying a lot of things. I hope we're getting it. You must be ready to sleep at the same time that your child is sleeping. So your child can sense your presence and feel your presence. And During the night as well, your child will have what they call night feeds. Now, you want to make sure that you're doing something that is called dream feeding. Dream feeding is the idea whereby you know when your child will wake up. Your child usually has a routine, which usually changes a few times during a process or during a phase called sleep regression. Sleep regression happens at 13 weeks, 2 months, 4 months. These are typical times when they happen, 8 months, or when they're teething. And what is sleep regression? Sleep regression is a short period of time, usually 2 to 4 weeks, where a child's sleeping pattern changes very sporadically, like changes very seriously. Why? Because they are learning a new skill. Maybe they are learning to sit up, they are learning to crawl, they are teething. So their brains are going through kind of like a change, and it affects their sleeping pattern. But aside from that, or after that a short period of time, they will go back into the routine sleep that you have patterned for them if you have a routine sleep. Okay, now we're talking about how to enhance your child's sleep. Having a routine will help your child sleep better, and we're talking about dream feeding. Okay, I'm going into many things, but I hope you're getting what I'm saying. Now, dream feeding is the idea, or is a process of making sure you know when your child wants to feed, and then feeding your child just before that time, so that your child is not fully awake or alert while you're feeding them back to sleep. When a child has a full tummy, when a child is filled up, it is said that the child sleeps, for longer and way easier. So if you can target that, oh, my child wakes up every 3 hours or every 4 hours, 30 minutes before that time, you quickly wake up, change the child and feed the child, nurse the child, breastfeed the child, then the child will sleep for longer, more extensively. But when a child is fully awake and crying, when you nurse the child will not easily go back to sleep, and that will affect your own sleeping as well. Okay, so that is about it for sleep, enhancing a child's sleep. And we've talked about a bit about separation anxiety. Now, for a child to also sleep well, even during the day, a child must have comfort and security. Comfort in that the place is comfortable. There's a style of, putting the child. There's a way you put the child's beddings. Please do not put cushions or pillows or stuffings around the child's crib to avoid suffocation or sudden infant death syndrome. Please do not lie a child on their tummy, on their faces when they cannot sit up yet. Always try to put them on the side or on the back of their head. So we used to rotate between side and the back of their head because we didn't want Joshua to have a flat head. Okay? So yeah, you also have to take note of comfort and security. So security mostly comes from the mom or from the parents. From the mom, usually. Your child wants to sense that you're around. For the first 1 or 2 months, they can't really see, but they can hear your voice. So they want to sense you're around. So often cuddle your child, often sing to your child, even as they're sleeping, often peck them. It fosters that sense of security and comfort. Okay? That will be all today on sleeping. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you took something away. I hope you can see how important it is to foster sleep in your child and to pay attention to your child's sleeping. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in today, and I will see you next week. If you have any questions, please, I've been experiencing creator's block recently, and that's why the videos haven't been as frequent. But if you have any questions, remark, or any video that you want us to shoot, then please let me know. I'm open to doing it for you guys. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.